Welcome to Covered, the show that takes a behind-the-scenes look at the residential rebuild program in Canterbury. Today we'll be talking cash settlements with Mark Rackley-Gale from BNZ. I'll also be speaking with John Goddard of Community Law Canterbury and Casey Hurren of Southern Response about tackling the complex issues surrounding retaining walls. Right now, we talk building. Now, building can be complicated. We went out to speak with Jessie DeWise, Director of JD Homes, about how to work with your builder when you cash settle.
We'll start on the rebuild. It's a layered, complex situation doing a rebuild. Lots of parameters to sort of pick up. So we've got groundworks, engineering, design fees, planning. So it is a daunting task, I would say, from any prospective client trying to go out and do it on their own. I would always suggest to clients to stay inside their project management company to help them through the situation. You've got some guidance, they'll set up a lot of the jobs yourself. If you're capable in doing that and not too daunted, hey look, yep, give it a go. It's going to be difficult work though. You'll need to engage a very good builder that you'll want to work with and form a very good relationship with, because it is quite a relationship from the start to the finish. You're probably talking the best part of 18 months sometimes from all those sort of processes up to 2 years. So to get through that, it is a lot to go through there. So you just got to make sure you get all that information sorted at the front end. You've got to go out and really have a good hunt around. Word of mouth is the best one. If you've got some friends that are built through a building company and have enjoyed the process, listen to what they say, because enjoyment through the building process is number one in my books. It's a long-winded process, as I said, it's a relationship. You're working very intimately with that builder, so you want to make sure it's right. So you want to have a look at what they've done, work that they've done. Are they capable to do your project? If they are, do some homework into them, have a chat, talk to ex-clients that they're built for, and then just sort of engage them through that way there. So, like I said, rule of thumb, word of mouth is the best. You can pay for all sorts of advertising, but word of mouth is number one. Predominantly the builder or your building company will look after the subtrades, and it should be done that way. The clients can have some input into having someone that they may want to use on a specific area of the house, like a plumber or a home automation or something along those sort of lines. It's not really wise because the builder does lose that control off that subtrade. I always like to have control of my subtrades, and I dare say most building companies will be that same sort of lines, as they can keep the flow of work going. They're not relying on your input to get the subtrade to site. So it's always better to have the builder in full control of who's on site. And then if there is an issue, then you go back to your builder and say, look, this is the issue. Then the builder can rectify it quite quickly and easily and painless. So a repair, once again, we'll start with the ground. You've got foundation issues that are the biggest issue with repairs. Quite often the house has to be jacked up and we'll have to repair the whole foundation or actually replace the whole foundation. Complex, difficult to get through. We've got neighbours to deal with on top of that, because half the time you're going to be breaching a boundary. So that's one thing you've got to go through. The skill set between a building company and a builder to do repair to rebuild is different. So some companies are set up purely to do new work and they do a fantastic job of that. Other companies are set up to do a bit of both, or they're guys that just specialise in repair work. So once again, it's back to the selection of the builder. That's going to make the big difference there. So you want to make sure if you're doing a repair, you've got a company capable of doing the repair, because it's not like building with new. You're marrying two different parts of the house together and trying to replicate it back to how it was. So can be interesting at times. So you just want to make sure it's right. Well, consenting, it depends on how you're going with the management side of things. If you were to do an opt-out and undertake your own plans, then your designer architect will then 9 times out of 10 manage the consenting side of things. If you're to go through a building company, then they would probably look after the consenting side of things. So the answer to that would be, depending on which route you're going down, you may look after it yourself, or you may not. But if you're going to look after yourself, it's difficult to get through with all the RFIs, so you want a capable designer sorting that out for you. It's the same with the building company, they'll have their own capable designers to sort that out too. Inspections are usually handled by the project managing company on site, so if it's your building company, they will handle it all. If you're doing a labour only and you're managing it, then it'll be up to you to sort out. Be aware that you may be incurred fees for missed inspections or failed inspections, so you're going to make sure you get those all right. And you just want to make sure that the building company on site is making sure they're hitting the targets of the inspections at the required times, because it does form delays if they don't do that. The project management company will pay for the builder directly, or if you are doing it self-managed, then you'll be enforcing the payments. It would come down to the contract and how the contract is worded and the stage payments through that out. So getting the contract right and the payments is quite good. You've got to get that, make sure it's quite right, and then you can form the payment scheme from there. Depending on who you select to do your repair or rebuild, Master Build offer their 10-year guarantee on the house. The warranty backup behind that is all specific on the different items that you put into the house. Will have their own warranty, like the windows will have their own warranty. The builder will have to give you all of that as a package up front at the front to let you know all the items of warranties in the house. The builder then also has to give a 1-year warranty at the end of the completion of the job under the new legislation. The best solution is to put your trust in the best builder you can find that you want to work with. I would strongly advise you to stay away out of the process of it. It's complex, layered. If you don't understand it, you'll get lost very, very quickly. And if you get lost, you'll make a mistake and that'll actually come back and hurt you. So you either engage a builder, building company, or a full project manager to handle the job, and stay out of it if you're not that way inclined into that sort of system.
When we come back, Casey Hurren of Southern Response and John Goddard of Community Law Canterbury discuss the complex issues surrounding retaining walls.
Have you got creepy crawlies scurrying through your house? Or is your problem a bit bigger? Well, we can help. Being Canterbury owned and operated for 10 years means we've learnt a thing or two about our local invaders. We have the option of non-toxic chemicals to provide a healthier environment for you and your family while evicting those nasties. And satisfaction is guaranteed. So eliminate the problem quickly and safely. For a full range of services, visit our website, elitepestcontrol.co.nz. If you're looking for a real estate agent that is willing to go the extra mile to give you complete peace of mind, then look no further. Karen and Barry Ellis from Harcourt's Twist Care Realty are here to work for you. They believe in their brand and actively work to get you the best possible result. From start to finish, Karen and Barry Ellis will take the stress and hassle out of buying or selling. Karen and Barry Ellis, licensed agent REAA 2008.
At NCRE, there is no job too big or too tough. From commercial fridge and freezers to farming and dairy refrigeration, we can take care of all your refrigeration needs. NCRE, we'll get you sorted.
Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to Staywell Pharmacy. At Staywell Pharmacy, we do more than just dispense prescriptions. As Canterbury's most experienced supplier of compression hosiery and travel socks, our friendly staff can assist you with all your needs when it comes to looking after your health. Whether you're recovering from surgery, taking that overseas trip, or wanting to stop those tired, aching legs, Staywell Pharmacy has you covered. Bookings are essential. For a new direction in your future health, call us today. Staywell Pharmacy. Live well, stay well.
Best friend on holiday to snuggle in boarding Canterbury. We pride ourselves on having a safe, clean and fun environment for your feline companion. With luxury heated rooms, private courtyard, comprehensive menu and room service provided by trained staff and vet nurses, Snuggle In is simply the best for your pet.
We went out to meet with Casey Hurren of Southern Response to discuss the issues surrounding retaining walls.
Retaining walls are structures that effectively retain soil on slopes. In Canterbury, you'll see a number of retaining walls on the Port Hills which retain structures like driveways or garages, or even something as simple as fences. One of the biggest challenges for settling retaining wall claims has been well, at least in Southern Response's case, the lack of cover. So under the AMI policies, which Southern Response is responsible for, retaining walls are actually excluded from coverage under the insurance contract. So that's been a challenge for us in the sense that there's often at people's homes or houses retaining walls which form part of the building platform or the structure which we intend to build off, or even access, and that's meant that there's been a financial shortfall for a lot of those customers. There's the complexity associated with it, that a number of these walls are damaged, which it's not clear who the actual owner of the wall is, and if the ownership isn't clear, then who's going to pay for the damaged wall isn't clear either. So what Southern Response is doing is we're going to our customers' properties and we're willing to assess all the walls that are at the site and make an informed assessment about which ones are damaged and which ones will need to be repaired. Central government, and the likes of Sarah and MB, insurers and the Earthquake Commission have all been working fairly closely together to set up a database where interested parties that need to know certain information to reinstate retaining walls, or who owns these walls, can put that information into a central database so that information can be extracted so that insurers or EQC or whoever's involved in the reinstatement process, if it's a homeowner, can make informed decisions about what walls are at the site and what they might need to be looking out for before they commence the rebuild process. Some of the ideas that we're willing to work with the customer over is to use some of the funds that might otherwise have been applied to the house to the retaining wall. We're happy to put them in touch with funders such as lending institutions to see if they're willing to facilitate lending for those retaining walls. And the other thing that Southern Response has done is we've been paying for the entire assessment cost and design costs for determining how you would actually repair those retaining walls that affect the building platform. So in essence, what we're asking customers to contribute to now is the construction costs for those retaining walls that affect the building platform.
Well, it certainly is a very complex issue, and I'm joined now by John Goddard of Community Law Canterbury. Welcome, John. Thanks for coming in and talking to me. The whole retaining walls issue, so complex. Why is it so difficult?
Well, it's difficult because retaining wall issues capture all of the complexities and challenges of residential rebuilds in Christchurch. They involve both legal and technical uncertainties that need to be resolved in order for claims to be settled.
So basically they're a really good example of just the entire process, just down to this one small issue. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just how complex and challenging it is, and how important it is for homeowners to get really good legal and technical advice.
What are some of the main issues? We were talking just before while we were watching that video clip there. Littleton is an issue. So what are some of the things that the people of Littleton are having to consider?
Some of the things they're having to consider is whether or not retaining walls should be dealt with as part of a land claim or part of a house claim.
Right, okay.
And this comes up when they're key to the structural integrity of a house.
And is that the legal bit in there? It needs to be part of the structural integrity?
Under the Earthquake Commission Act, if they're part of the house, then they will be repaired to an as-new standard.
Right.
But if they're part of the land claim, the homeowner will receive a payment based on market value, which usually will not be enough to repair the wall.
Because these are incredibly expensive things to be able to repair, aren't they? I mean, it was referred to there, Casey was talking about design, implementation, and then the actual building as well. So
absolutely. A number of these walls need engineer design solutions, and those are not cheap.
No. So, John, can you explain to me, or give me some examples of some of the cases that you've actually been working with?
Absolutely. One of the examples is where there is coverage for repairing retaining walls in an insurance policy. The insurer has cash settled the claim, but the property owner is surrounded by 6 different neighbours, and the retaining wall is on the boundary with those neighbours. What the property owner then has to do is negotiate with each of those neighbours so that the walls can be repaired.
So you really need to make sure before you cash settle that you have enough money in that cash settlement to be able to accommodate settling with all 6 of your neighbours.
Absolutely, and you also need to have made contact with each of those neighbours and understand whether or not they have insurance cover or whether or not they're able to fund repairs.
And then I suppose there's that percentage of who's contributing what to the repair of that particular wall as well.
Absolutely, and there are different ways of calculating who should pay what, and those calculations don't always tally up.
And it comes back again and again to this case-by-case basis, doesn't it?
It does. Every case turns on its own particular set of circumstances.
John, can you also explain to me what is meant by beneficial ownership?
Beneficial ownership is defined in the Butterworth's Law Dictionary as the right of substantial enjoyment. So it means that you have the right to use property, but you don't own it outright.
So is this something that's actually in people's, in their legal title to a property where they have beneficial ownership? How does beneficial ownership come into it?
Often it will be noted on a person's legal property or title.
Right, okay.
So that is a crucial document which homeowners should get hold of.
So you need to be able to see that document, see now if you do happen to have those couple of words in your title, then that gives you more room to negotiate with councils, bordering neighbours. How does that work?
On the title, it will often be noted as an easement or a covenant.
Right, okay.
So that's what you're looking for. And once that's there, then there's an argument that a homeowner can raise with EQC or their private insurer that their legal rights, their beneficial rights to that property should be recognised, and a claim to repair a wall should be accepted.
And needs to be upheld. So there may actually be a legal basis for you to be able to stand on to argue that you require more money to repair this particular retaining wall.
That's right, but that is an extremely specialised area of law.
Yeah.
So homeowners are recommended to seek legal advice.
I think actually that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? Is firstly it's case by case, and secondly is get advice and get the right advice.
These issues are so difficult that it's not realistic to expect owners to be able to navigate their way through them on their own. I think most homeowners would benefit hugely from having expert assistance.
I agree. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Now, after the break, we're going to look at a slightly simpler issue, in my perspective, compared to retaining walls. We're going to be talking cash settlements with Mark Reckley-Gale, who's the manager of the BNZ Specialist Future Hub team right here in Canterbury.
Best friend on holiday to Snuggle In Boarding Kennels. We pride ourselves on having a safe, clean and fun environment for your canine companion. With heated floors, an indoor-outdoor flow, large play and exercise areas and room service provided by our experienced animal care staff, Snuggle In is simply the best for your pet.
We asked ourselves, what statement sums up our company culture and sets us apart from others? Serving one another. It means we have respect for our customers, our workmates, our suppliers, and the communities in which we live and work. These are the things that matter to us. Serving one another is the foundation of our business. HEB Construction, the total infrastructure package.
At NCRE, there is no job too big or too tough. From commercial fridge and freezers to farming and dairy refrigeration, we can take care of all your refrigeration needs. NCRE, we'll get you sorted.
When we were kids, saving the world seemed like the easiest thing you could do. But the world has changed, and the problems are bigger than we'd ever imagined. People are starving, the environment is under pressure, the climate is changing fast, and we are running out of fresh water. There's so much distraction, it can get hard to see where you can make a difference. With so many other things going on, where do you start? Well, feeding the world gets a little easier when you start by planting the right seed. Protecting the future is possible when you know how and have help. And if we work together to tackle the big challenges, everyone can live well. At Lincoln, we're on a mission to feed the world, protect the future, and help everyone live well. So don't settle for just any future. Join us and make a difference.
Jumpstart your career in the primary industries at Aoraki Polytechnic. Qualify with a New Zealand Diploma in Agribusiness Management. Study on your farm, for your farm on a project-based method. Aoraki also offers Level 2 and 3 Agriculture, Level 3 Horticulture and Epiculture for those interested in the beekeeping industry. So enrol today and get hands-on experience at Aoraki.
Blackwells has a proud history presenting leading vehicle brands, extensive backup and service for a total one-stop driving experience. Holden, Mazda and HSV new and used vehicle sales, servicing, parts, paint and panel, Isuzu truck sales and service, all together in one convenient location. More selection, more value, more quality and more reasons to make Blackwells your number one choice. Visit Blackwells today, corner Waterloo Racecourse Road, Sockburn or online at blackwells.co.nz.
With me now is Mark Rackley-Gale, who is the manager of the BNZ Specialist Future Hub team. Mark, thanks very much for coming in. I'm actually really pleased that you're here because we haven't seen a bank's perspective, so I'm quite interested in hearing what you've got to share with us. Now, you're with the BNZ,
Yep.
and specifically I want to start by asking about cash settlements. You're over cap, you've been offered a cash settlement. Why does the bank even need to be involved?
Yeah, the reason is, Vanessa, is we have generally received the EQC portion of the cash settlement if it's over cap, prior to the settlement actually coming through the offer to the customer. And that's a result of prior to the Canterbury earthquakes, those funds were sent directly to the insurance company. But due to the scale and nature of the Canterbury earthquakes, it was agreed that those funds could be forwarded to customers to use to reduce debt or in interest. So the banks generally will already be holding that, and so that needs to be factored into a customer's decision to cash settle.
So, of course, when you're talking about cash settling, and we're talking about people here, of course, who've got mortgages on their property, the bank has a vested interest in this because you need to make sure that the value of the property is not diminished.
Yeah, that's right. It's again, it's one of those things that, in terms of educating people around that reason, the bank has lent a certain amount of money against the value of that property. If a customer chooses to cash settle rather than allowing the insurance company to reinstate, then that is going to potentially impact on the remaining value of the property. So the bank has to factor that in.
So what you're actually worried about is that if you take a cash settlement and you don't actually fix the property, the value of the property is going to drop, and therefore your mortgage is worth less, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Right, okay. It's funny because it's actually not rocket science, but it's crucial and it's something that a lot of people haven't thought about.
That's right.
So if you're in a position, well, actually, firstly, are you getting people who are still haven't spoken to their banks yet or are still being offered cash settlements for the first time?
Yeah, so in terms of, we've got people at all ends of the spectrum. So there are some people who still haven't actually received even cash settlements from EQC, prior to that overcap decision and prior to it going to the insurance company for them to be able to proceed. So we haven't received, people haven't received that money. They haven't even started on that journey, and yet we've had others that have received an offer from the insurance company, maybe not aware that the bank needs to approve any cash settlement that's agreed, and so the last minute they'll come to the bank and say, can we do this? The bank can actually save people a lot of time and clarify decisions that they need to make early in the piece. So definitely it is better for people to approach their bank much sooner rather than later.
I think, yes, sooner rather than later. I think that's a really good piece of advice. So if you haven't had a conversation with your bank, and I mean you're talking from a BNZ's point of view, but any bank out there, you need to be initiating those conversations. Yeah, you
really should. It's such a key decision in terms of taking a cash settlement, even in terms of a lot of people, after 4 years of waiting, are maybe seeing a carrot and a way to get out. So even just having that emotional investment that they have, speaking to somebody who maybe has a slightly different perspective, slightly more removed, from that decision might be a lot more helpful.
I mean, getting good advice is just essential to every decision that you need to make in this process.
Yep.
How does the Hub team help with that, giving that advice? What kind of services are you offering your customers?
Yep, so we're a specialist team dedicated to helping people of Canterbury overcome any issues, especially the complex financial ones arising from the Canterbury earthquakes. So for us, we're a service that was set up initially for BNZ customers, but having all the experience is open to non-BNZ customers as well.
Okay.
And so we receive all EQC insurance settlements for every customer that has a mortgage. So again, a lot of experience in helping people negotiate through this.
And of course, you're based here. Your staff are going through it. You know what we're talking about.
Yep.
You know what it's like to live here.
Yep. So we've been here from the very beginning. All of the staff are handpicked to be looking for solutions, not looking for problems.
Right.
So that's the nature of the team, and we also work with others because, well, as a bank, we can help with the financial implications, working with RAS, CTAS, and lots of other, even solicitors. To provide that right advice so people can make an informed decision is critical.
Great. Okay, well, we're going to have some of those support service numbers coming up at the end of this chat too. Can you tell me, of course, with a Hub situation like that, every case must be different.
Yeah.
How are you managing the workload? Are you taking it case by case? Are you slotting similar jobs in together? How does it work?
Yeah, every customer is individual, every situation is unique, everybody's financial situation is different. So again, it's just taking the time, having the knowledge and the expertise, and working with that customer to come up with the option that's most suitable for them.
I do want to ask you, if we've got a little bit more time, I want to talk to you about as-is properties, because they're starting to appear on the market, as-is, where-is, this kind of thing. Are these people that have taken a cash settlement and walked away? How are banks involved? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, so this is only BNZ's perspective. So in terms of as-is, where-is, there's a high degree of risk with those properties.
Yep.
As you say, they're damaged. The insurance has been settled, so there is generally no insurance available on that property. And the biggest issue from a bank's perspective, we don't want to enable someone to put themselves or others at risk. Buying a property which is badly damaged and could collapse if there was another event. So in terms of as-is, whereas properties, as I say, is a high degree of risk. In talking to customers, because we know there's a high demand as well, there's a lot of interest in as-is, whereas properties, it is really crucial to make sure again that people are making an informed decision. If they're going to mitigate the risk by demolishing the property, maybe just taking the land, building on it again, or even looking at reinstating the property, getting up to an insurable standard again, that's something that we would be happy to talk to somebody about.
But then, of course, that all comes back to valuation. Are you therefore paying more for that piece of land than what you should be?
Yeah, and we have seen the perception of value has actually changed even in those as-is, whereas properties from what they were initially to the values that they're going for now. It's quite incredible.
I think the bottom line is, let's be safe. And as you said, you're treating everything case by case.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you so much for your time. That was really enlightening.
No, thank you, Vanessa.
Thanks. If you want free and independent advice about your insurance claim, contact the Residential Advisory Service, also known as RAS, the Community Law, or the Canterbury Insurance Assistance Service. If you or someone you know needs support, social services, or help with temporary accommodation, contact the Canterbury Support Line or the Canterbury Earthquake Temporary Accommodation Service. Join us next week for the final episode of Covered, when we look at policy entitlements, the main themes addressed throughout the series, with Dion Swiggs from Rebuild Christchurch and Marcus Irvine from CanCern. We also follow the experience of a Southern Response customer who hopes that his story will offer hope to other people still going through that rebuild or repair process.